Hey guys, it's April 3rd, and the patch notes for today just dropped, which include the Easter event release and all of the MTX associated with that. Frank's free chest, which I was not a part of the first one, and apparently it was a bit of a disaster. I don't even know if Iron Men are able to do this, so it's kind of whatever. Some more MTX shit, and then we get to patch notes, and the big one that stands out for me in here, that was brought to my attention from Reddit, is this one right here. Rearrange the order of teleport options when right-clicking all variants of the Wilderness Sword to be consistent with the Operate UI teleport options. Now, we'll go to Reddit real quick, and there's a bit of a backlash about this. There's definitely a lot of 179 comments on here, and it's only been here for 8 hours, so there's definitely a lot of attention to this. And I just want to go over. Sorry, I'm just doing some wyverns in the background here. I just want to go over some of my thoughts around this, and I think the issues that this type of post have. And so I've selected a couple of the comments that I want to talk about. The first one, which I think had been in discussion from way before I stopped playing. I think this is like freaking 2019 or so when this conversation not didn't even start happening. I'm sure this happened right when EOC occurred, but there was definitely a conversation around this, which is the configurable options for items that have like multiple I don't know, uses, I guess. So actually, dear God, I'm dying. Why am I dying? um, so I think that this, I actually first noticed this in like 2013 when I was in like chopping logs and there was no drop option. It was like the craft option was the first one. And I was like, well, what the hell? Why can't you just put, like, why can't I configure and make drop the first option on this action bar? Now, I don't know if I selected this comment out, but someone was suggesting that a lot of stuff is stored on like the Runescape side, not the client side. And so options like these would be pretty memory intensive for Jagex to store on their side. I don't I'm not going to even pretend to know anything about coding. The best that I've done is like hello world in Python, but if that's the case, and that this is difficult to do because of memory like storage issues on Jagex's side. I'm just curious why we can have like some options like our settings options like graphics and stuff like that be set on um yeah, never mind. I don't know anything about this. I'm just not gonna comment on it. It just seems weird that like this couldn't be an option to fix because I feel like this is a pretty massive change that could be implemented, and you know, there's like some nowadays some niche uses for it, but it's like pretty evidenced by what went on with this Wilderness Sword update. And then I'll just go over some of the JMod responses. So this is from Modizana. Hey folks, to clarify what has changed, previously the sword had been porting you based on if it were held or in the backpack, and this update changed that to be consistent. It will bring you to the same port regardless of where it's used from. The issue players were having is that they preferred Edgeville TP instead of Herp Patch. This is something we are discussing and monitoring at the moment. So this gives like some reasoning behind why the change was made, but it doesn't. I don't think it's like a good enough excuse as to why this is like kind of a dog shit update. Now, I think that the sentiment of like shitting on JMods is completely unreasonable and will only down the line uh, like de-incentivize JMods from communicating on Reddit. Especially, I think that the RuneScape Reddit, well, it's been evidenced by, I think that there was a post a couple of years ago outlining the most like negative comments on any subreddits, and RuneScape was like, I don't know, in like the top 20 or 10 or something like that, insane. So I think that the people who are on Reddit in the RuneScape community are often, um, I think, a little dramatic when it comes to this, and especially like I don't think that they consider that there's like a person on the other end of of the line that they're like quote unquote communicating with, but more, yelling at. Um, so I just want to like preface what I'm about to say with that, like just echoing this sentiment that shitting on someone regardless of whether or not you think the thing that they did was like egregious or stupid. It's not the best approach at any time, and it like definitely isn't going to elicit the response that you want, which is to fix the update. It's yeah, it's just not a healthy response to have. So with that in mind, I think that the big takeaway that I have for this is not that the JMods are stupid. Like I don't think that any of the devs on this game are stupid, but I do think that there's a lot of naivety towards what's going on. And I was thinking about this morning, and it seems like the main issue is like on the old school team, a lot of the devs on that are passionate RuneScape players. Like they love the game, and they love the community, and they don't like they want to make sure that the changes that they make are conducive to like the healthy long-term lifetime of the game. And then for RuneScape 3, I think a lot of that passion is just like faded away. Like we saw people like Shawnee who like clearly loved the game, and I'm not saying that all of the changes Shawnee made were like the best, but I think that he always had the best interests in mind. And like I don't think that any of that was coming from like a malicious I want to screw over the players. I think that they're doing this content wrong sort of thing. And then I look at the like current devs, and it feels like none of them have a clue as to like how the game is actually played. Like I think that the thing is from this update, it's very evident to anyone who has done any wilderness runecrafting that you can't change the teleport option on this. It was for me a big change was when I was doing my runecrafting a couple years ago. We had the Slayer Cape with Mandrith, and you could teleport to Mandrith right inside the bank instead of with the Wilderness Sword outside of the bank. And so he was moved, which it is what it is, and it sucks to lose that method. But like there are consequences to changing these like where teleports go. And so I think that as I was saying, anybody who had spent any amount of time runecrafting, like and wanting to teleport to Edgeville with that, would know that this change is terrible. Without like if I were told about this change to like make the configure option different, I could have told the devs like right away that this was going to be like a foreseeable issue, and to adjust like the way that the change is being made. And yeah, so I know at some point they had the devs spend a certain amount of time on, I think it was like one morning a week or something like that, just playing the game. And I don't know if that's still a thing, but it feels like it needs to be a thing, because you can't have devs who are like completely out of touch with how the game is actually played. Hi guys, I know this is from the future and just a little disconnected from what was just going on, but I'd just like to bring up what I realized that I neglected to bring up, so I guess a bit of an addendum to what I was talking about earlier. Because I didn't talk about all of the JMod responses in here, and I feel like this is kind of an important response to illustrate. So it's people talking about how it's kind of silly to have made this this update. It's moments like this that I wish RS had a RuneLite equivalent so that you could completely ignore any stupid changes made by simply installing a user-made plugin. So anyways, this is Modazana's response, talking about the issue, which was because the issue being solved wasn't which teleport do people prefer, it was the teleport options are inconsistent, and the change that was made was to fix that. And then there's some kind of negative responses here. So, yes, the good old we changed this, but didn't put much thought into why we changed this. And in the future, just ask players. We are the ones engaging with the content on a daily basis. This would have been flagged immediately by players as a bad call. And Modizana's response is, please understand how silly that would be. The team was responding to an issue that's likely been in the backlogs for some time. That was something like the Wilderness Sword teleport options are different when used from hand and backpack. So the issue being addressed is that inconsistency. What exactly the teleports are weren't being questioned, just that they weren't consistent. If the Edgeville TP was the default one, nobody would have likely noticed this issue and had a problem. This is how the majority of fixes are handled, and they do not require player input at this level. When a change causes an unintended issue like today's did, we go and address the problem. And there's someone responding saying, respect for actually answering the question. It makes sense from bug report perspective, just not from a player perspective. I think that Tedious has like a great response here. So the issue being addressed is that doors to your car were detached. How car door functions weren't being questioned, just that the doors were detached. If no one tried to open the doors, nobody would have likely noticed that they were permanently welded shut. And I think that this is like such a good response to illustrate the silliness of Azana's like grievance with player feedback here, which is like um, the unintended consequence is like just as important as the like, and in this case, way more important than the initial issue. Who cares about inconsistency between hand and inventory, right? Because like often when you have stuff in your inventory, the first like, for example, an augmented item, if you have it in your inventory, the first option is to wield it. So like it's it's not to check charges on it or whatever. So like there already exists that inconsistency in the game, and then to like make a bigger issue by not considering what the consequence could be of like updating this is just, it's like baffling. So like I understand the like transparency and like from a quote unquote bug fixing or like consistently or consistency addressment issue, it makes sense, but like it's it's just the naivety is like baffling, like it truly baffling, and it's saddening as well. But yeah, there's just a bit of an addendum because I feel like I didn't address these, and I think that they're worth pointing out. So yeah. And if these devs don't care about the game outside of work time, which is completely fine, this is a job. Let's be realistic here. This is a job for these devs. But I think that you need some level of appreciation for the player base to like secure your job in the long term. And I can't confidently say that the people who are playing this game feel that level of passion about it. I know some do, but I can't say for everyone. And that feels like not a great feeling for a game. Like I don't think Jagex pays particularly well. Well, I know they don't, like looking at the Glassdoor and stuff like that, but with that in mind, like you should, if you're not working with like the intent of making a ton of money, I feel like you should at least have a passion for what you're like working on. Um, and like again, maybe that's naivety. I don't really know how the job market works for game development and stuff like that. Maybe it's like a resume builder, but it just seems so sad to see like this game that I absolutely love just not be loved by the people who are making it and like constantly putting updates out and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just it's kind of a sad, I guess, realization in that regard. I'd also like to talk about this in the context of another content creator who goes by, I think, Froggy Plays. I'll put the link in the description. And he has I think it's about an hour long um, criticism for one of the mods. I think Mod Jack, who I don't know exactly Mod Jack's role, as I have not really been playing that much, but I think that he's sort of taken over lead development for maybe Mod Matt K or something. Um, and his like thoughts about how to fix PVM drop tables and stuff like that. And I bring this up because I feel like this is like a very similar um, sentiment as to what's going on right now, which is that it's pretty evidence that uh, the mods who are like in the decision making and in the coding roles don't really have an idea of like how the game is played. So just for a little context, ModJack did a stream on like some issues with PVM drop tables, and his like main gripe was that he can't like you can't nerf Zami too much, and he used the two bosses Zami and Vindicta. You can't nerf Zami too much that someone is able to earn more money killing Vindicta than killing Zami. And this is for the drop tables. Um, and he talked about all these like issues with loot, and like he had suggested like maybe we increase the like respawn timer, which terrible idea. Like, why are you getting people to not play the game? um, but like he was asked at one point, "Have you done Vindicta before?" Because he like didn't know what kill times were and stuff like that, and his response was no. And like, how can you be expected to like do any drop table reworks if you don't have an idea of how to even kill the boss, like what appropriate kill times would be or any of that kind of stuff. Like I know that you can get feedback, but the feedback that you're getting is from other employees at RuneScape. And I can't confidently say that many or any of them, like aside from the lead developers on like Mod Ramen for the PVM content, have an idea of how to like actually kill these bosses. And like can kill these bosses. Not even just have an idea, but like can and know what the struggles are with them and all of that kind of stuff. And like I don't think that you can have a naive like I don't think naivety um is a valid argument when you're talking about the game state and like areas to improve on the game. Like I think you can have a long rambly discussion on it, but you need to have like some idea of how this content is like played to like even discuss drop tables and stuff like that. So, anyways, I'll leave a link in the description because I think Froggy had like very good responses to this. I think that they were a little bit mean, but I do think that they were like very valid and good responses for the most part. But yeah, it just leaves me feeling very similarly about this update. So, I know that this wasn't a particularly interesting one, but it was just my thoughts on the update. I'm sure that over the next couple of days they'll do some work to revert the change and have Edgeville be the first teleport. Like I cannot see a world where that decision is not made, and like if it isn't made, I think the issues are greater, and maybe it's out of spite for the people on Reddit as opposed to like thinking that it's a good update for the game. So. But yeah, anyways, I know that this is probably going to come out the same day as the previous video, which is my return. But I filmed that last night and just did not end up uploading it. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.